I note that the interim chair is going to be Baroness Harding, who, of course, has been in charge of test and trace, and we've seen that 10,000 outsourced staff had managed to speak to only an average of around 2 people each. She heads that up. She was also in charge of TalkTalk at a time when it was fined £400,000 for a data breach. She was also there when it won a Wooden Spoon Award from a newspaper for the worst customer performance 2 years running. And she's on the Jockey Club, which allowed the Cheltenham Festival to go ahead disastrously in March. Why are you trusting her with my health?
Oh, well, the leadership that we need will be provided by Dido Harding.
Yeah, would you like to address some of the problems, though, and on her track record?
Well, anybody with enormous experience like Baroness Harding will have faced challenges in their professional career, and I think having somebody with enormous experience, both running very large organisations in the private sector and as the chair of the board of NHS improvement over the last 3.5 years, with huge experience of health, she has what it takes to lead this organisation now, to get it set up. Because the key thing now is to make sure that there is a seamless impact on the coronavirus response, that is strengthened, and I think her leadership will be an important part of that.
Has she been successful? Excuse me. Has she been successful in test and trace then?
Yes, very much so. I mean, Nick, there are a quarter of a million
10,000 staff
people
managing to speak to an average of around 2 people each. And that's a success. God almighty, what would a disaster be, Secretary of State?
Let me tell you what a success looks like in NHS test and trace.
Yeah.
250,000 people have been contacted and told to self-isolate, to break the chain of transmission, to stop the virus spreading, who wouldn't have been if it weren't for NHS test and trace. 250,000 people. And when we think about the number of cases that we have in this country, which is around 1,000 cases of people who test positive every day, 250,000, so vastly more, are not passing on the virus because of the work of NHS test and trace. Or look at our testing capacity, which we expanded. I gave a target to expand to 100,000 a day in the spring, and then Baroness Harding came and led that effort. Once we'd hit the 100,000 target, it's now at 300,000. So the work that she's done has been incredibly impressive, leading this part of the response.
Not great at talk, though, was she? Lastly, not great at talk.
I don't think that's right. But she turned around.
A fine of £400,000 and presiding over a company that had the worst customer service 2 years running. Well, that tells you something, doesn't it? And you've entrusted her with mine and my children's health. Thank you very much, Secretary of State.
Actually, when you run any large organisation, there are always challenges. But the final point I'd make on this is that ultimately it is ministers who are responsible for all decisions that governments make, and that's why I come on the radio to talk to you and to answer questions, and I'm accountable to Parliament. And I think this is the whole media discussion around this about who's responsible. I think is frustrating because, frankly, I'm responsible for what happens in the health and social care areas. Right. Of course, I am. And
shame you weren't in charge of the A-levels in a way, really, isn't it? That would have been quite good. Finally, before I let you go, you've probably had enough on your plate.